lot of writers I've met use slow burn as a defense mechanism. Oh, the plot hasn't kicked in yet? It's a slow burn. Nothing really happened by chapter 4? Don't worry, it's a slow burn. It gets better. But here's the thing. A slow burn isn't an excuse. It's a technique. And if you don't understand what it's actually doing, then you're not building tension. You're just dragging your feet. At its core, a slow burn is about controlled escalation. It's a deliberate act of holding off the explosion, but only because you're building the pressure behind it. Every beat, every glance, every silent moment, it all has to add something to that rising tension. If the reader isn't feeling a slow increase in anticipation, dread, or desire, then what you're doing isn't a slow burn. It's just slow. Here are 4 big mistakes I've noticed people often make when trying to slow burn. If you've any experience with these or examples of it you've seen that you'd like to shout out, tell me in the comments. Also, remember to like the video if this helps you. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Mistake number 1. Stillness does not equal tension. Let's start with the most common and the most dangerous mistake writers make when trying a slow burn. They think stillness is tension. You've probably seen this before, maybe even written it. A character stares out a window. They think, they remember, they frown. A breeze passes through the curtains. The author says, this is introspective. This is deep. The tension is all internal. No, it's just still. And stillness, on its own, is not tension. It's neutral. It's empty. Tension isn't about what's happening on the page. It's about what's about to happen, or what could happen, or what the readers are afraid might happen if things don't change. This happens when readers confuse silence with suspense and vibes with voltage. They want to write something elevated. They want to show subtle emotion, deep character work, maybe literary flair. But none of that is wrong, unless you forget to load the moment. A quiet scene is only effective if it's charged. Think of it like a live wire. No sparks, no explosion, just tension humming under the surface. If nothing's being suggested, no pressure is building, and there's no sense of consequence, then it's just atmospheric padding. If you wish to spot this stuff in your own writing, ask yourself this. Is the scene doing anything besides existing? Is there a question being raised? A feeling intensifying? A risk slowly creeping in? If this moment wasn't here, would the story lose anything? If the answer is no, you're not burning tension. You're just filling space. And here's a better way to think about all of this. Tension isn't about noise. It's about danger. Real slow burn tension is about something unspoken but undeniable. A character sitting quietly, but with their fists clenched under the table. A couple making small talk while their marriage is visibly unraveling. A detective on a stakeout, watching something they can't yet prove. The best quiet moments feel like a storm on the edge of breaking. If there's anything you take away from this section, I want it to be this. Mistaking stillness for tension is the root problem that turns slow burns into slogs. Because if the reader can't feel the coiling tightening, they don't stick around to see it snap. Your scenes can be quiet. They can be introspective, but they must be loaded. Otherwise, you're not slow burning. You're just wasting pages. Mistake number 2. No escalation, aka the flatline slow burn. If stillness kills the tension in a slow burn, then no escalation is what kills the story's pulse. As for what this mistake looks like, well, picture this. You start reading. The tone is moody. The dialogue is clean. The prose is even decent. But then, scene after scene, it's all the same emotional volume. Same dynamic. Same character states. Same tone. And 3 chapters in, you realize you're still at the same level you started at. That's not a slow burn. That's a flat line. This happens when writers confuse build-up with stalling. They delay without developing. They keep stacking similar scenes, hoping it feels like build-up, when it's really just repetition. The story isn't progressing. The pressure isn't rising. Nothing is shifting. It's a treadmill, not a fuse. Escalation doesn't have to mean explosions or plot twists. It means something has changed. Something gets riskier, deeper, more emotionally intense, more unstable, or closer to boiling over. The story should feel like a pot on the stove, rising steadily towards a boil. If you're just keeping it on low simmer the entire time, the reader checks out. Now, here's something useful that can make you happy. You're not limited to plot-based rising action. Escalation can be emotional, characters reach breaking points, confessions, betrayals, realizations. Relational, tension between people grows. Attraction intensifies. Trust erodes. Mystery/threat. New clues emerge. Stakes increase. Danger gets closer. Psychological. Paranoia grows. Self-deception cracks. The internal stakes rise. Escalation just means forward pressure. Something that pushes the story to its next gear. Now, if you want to spot this, here's how. Ask yourself, what's different now than it was 3 scenes ago? Has anything intensified since the last chapter? Would my reader feel more urgency now, or have I just been circling the same moment? If your story reads like a loop instead of a climb, you're not escalating, you're stalling. A slow burn doesn't need to move fast, but it needs to move. Readers can feel when a story is pressing forward and when it's just spinning its wheels. And if you want to earn your payoff, you've got to build the pressure behind it. Mistake 3. Withholding without purpose. The slow burn thrives on tension, but tension only works when the audience believes something is actually coming. Here's what this looks like. Writers hold back everything. No answers, no reveals, no emotional release. Just silence, mystery, and vague vibes. The reader keeps waiting for a crack in the wall, but it never comes. It's like being on a date when the other person keeps smirking and saying, "You'll find out eventually." Eventually, they don't care anymore. A lot of writers think withholding equals suspense. That if they never reveal their hand, the reader will stay hooked. But here's the truth. Mystery without momentum becomes frustration. Tension without payoff becomes apathy. Great slow burns do withhold, but not aimlessly, not indefinitely. What they actually do is drop pieces strategically, tease what's emotionally at stake, suggest there's a shape to this silence, and pay things off at the right time to keep tension alive. It's not just about what they don't show. It's about what they make the audience feel in the meantime. So, if you're not going to give full reveals yet, you should give a shift in the character's behavior, a flash of vulnerability, a hint at the consequences of what's being hidden, a reversal of power in the conversation, a question answered, while a bigger one is raised. The goal isn't to stall. The goal is to tilt the balance, just enough to keep the reader leaning in. If you want to know if you're guilty of this, answer these questions. Is the audience learning anything new? Is the dynamic evolving? Does the withholding change how the character is perceived? Have I given a reason for the reader to trust that this wait will be worth it? If you're just stacking vague scenes with no trajectory or payoff, you're not teasing, you're stonewalling. Above all else, remember this: withholding is a tool, not strategy. If you're not revealing anything, evolving anything, or raising the emotional stakes, then your mystery is just a blank page with a dramatic font. Mistake number 4, starting cold with no spark. A slow burn doesn't mean no burn, but too many writers start so cold, there's nothing to care about. No heat, no hook, no spark to pull us in. So, how does this look? You open on a gray sky. A character stares out the window, or walks slowly through a town, or drinks coffee, or thinks about their past. And we're supposed to just hang in there. Trust it'll get good eventually. But here's the thing. Readers aren't loyal to your intention. They're loyal to their curiosity. If nothing sparks it early, they bounce. Now, I will say this. This mistake comes from a place of well-meaning. Writers want to be subtle, controlled, patient. They think starting big would ruin the slow burn vibe. So they go small, but end up going flat. They forget you don't need chaos to start strong. You just need pull. So, while a slow burn doesn't start with answers, it does start with friction. Something should be off kilter, loaded with implication, charged with suspense, or quietly unsettling. Even your most subdued scene should make us lean forward, not sit back. Because the first spark isn't a plot twist, it's an emotional pull. Ask yourself, is there a question embedded in the first moments? Do we sense that something's off, even if we can't name it yet? Do the characters have wants, needs, or secrets we're brushing against? Is the tone doing some work? You don't have to grab the reader by the throat, but you do need to offer them a reason to keep watching now. Because the slow burn doesn't make slow start. You're telling a story, not waiting for one to begin. I'm certain I can make out more mistakes, but this should be a good list to start out with. If you'd like to know even more about what makes a good slow burn, the essentials, subscribe so you know when I release that video.